My name is Bhakti Patel and I'm a research coordinator at Tamaki Paenga here at Auckland Museum.
Hi, my name is Enika Andreessen and I am an ocean advocate.
Back in 2020, Enika and I attended the launch of Whale Tales with WWF. Back then we saw and were inspired by a couple of artists' different tales and their interpretation of how we can use art to convey a message around protecting our whales and our ocean life around Aotearoa. From there we came up with the concept from the tiny to the mighty, which is a celebration of the tiny things in our ocean which you can't see, and then protecting also to the mighty, which are our whales, our sharks, and our big apex predators. Without the tiny, we don't have the mighty. Hey Enika, I want you to take one breath in. Yep. Where do you think that breath of air came from?
From the trees around us.
Yep, so that's what most people know. I want you to take another deep breath in. Where do you think that breath comes from?
From our ocean.
Where from our ocean though?
So these really cool tiny little organisms in our ocean, plankton, they're split up between our phytoplankton and our zooplankton. And our zooplankton and phytoplankton are actually tiny little animals and tiny little plants. And they actually, the phytoplankton, are creating a lot of the oxygen that we breathe every second breath, but most of us don't realize that.
And when we have tiny little organisms, like our tiny plants, they create food for our tiny animals. And what feeds big animals? It's our tiny little animals. So that's where the concept from the tiny to the mighty came from.
And we're inspired by some of our favourite underwater photographers and videographers, Irene and Crispin, who are NIWA scientists, and they go out on their boat in the middle of the night to go into black water and take pictures of the tiniest creatures. And so through their photographs, we were able to paint off them to really make these guys come alive.
Auckland Museum has a really fantastic ability to be able to communicate what's happening in our environment and how we can actually help it. Having the tiny to the mighty at the museum will allow that connection to be made, so when people come to see the tale on the outside, they can explore the ocean further by going into the museum and checking out some of the ocean exhibits.
What we really hope is anyone that gets a chance to see from the tiny to the mighty comes up and sees our tale. We really hope to spark that imagination, that curiosity for people to go away and learn a bit more about plankton.
You know, from the tiny to the mighty was a creative way to be able to communicate something that is so unique, so tiny, and so invisible to most of us in our naked eye that we can now use the beauty of painting, of colours, of lines and details to bring these things to life and to allow people to see how beautiful but also how weird looking these things really are.
WWF have created an app for whale tales where you can go on an interactive map, see where all the whale tales are, you can click on them and have information on the project and you can collect them all.
There'll be 80 large tales speckled all around Auckland, as well as 80 mini tales that are going to be painted by some of our young rangatahi of Tamaki Makaurau. We had our tale for 7 months and spent over 500 hours painting every individual plankton on the sculpture.
The easiest part for us was actually the design itself. It was really easy for us to come up with it, why we were passionate about it, what we wanted to illustrate. And then I think the hardest part was actually making it come to life and painting actually on the whale tail. It was a lot bigger than we were expecting, a lot taller. There was many nights on kind of all different levels trying to get to those tiny little spots while painting.
I reckon the hardest part was to do these unique creatures, their unique shapes, their unique colours and details, and to bring that to life and give them justice for how amazing they truly are.
For anyone that is wanting to take on an ambitious project, what we recommend is just following your passion, something that you're really excited about, that you don't mind spending many nights sitting away doing. For us, it was coupled with watching, I can't think of the
5 seasons of Prison Break.
And lots of chocolate, but the main thing is making sure that you're really happy and excited about doing it, and that's what's going to make it work.
Well, for me, doing a project that you see the outcome benefiting our environment and our beautiful moana here in the Hauraki Gulf, that to me makes this entire project worthwhile.